Next up, Jared's going to talk to us about video games.
Hi, my name is JCapelle, as Mr. Caraway said, and I'm going to talk about using video games in an educational setting. I chose my topic because I love video games. It's a bit absurd the amount of time I've put into video games, and frankly, I'm surprised I've been able to keep my grades up the amount of time I've spent on it. So, and when I first started this, I actually came into senior year with no topic in mind at all. I just knew I wanted to do technology. Before I knew it, Ziggy, Lindsay, and Will had already taken all the other technology-related topics. So I ended up coming up with video games. And as I started doing my research, I realized just how huge the video game industry is. In 2013 alone, $15.39 billion were spent on video games. It's not nearly as much as Colin's hundreds of billions in sports marketing, but it's substantial nonetheless. Not to mention that, on average, American youth, which is roughly from 8 to 18, spends an average of 23 to 60 minutes a day on video games. In fact, that's an average. It should also be taken into account that weekend sessions would be much, much larger, which would drag the average much. So the fact that you get an hour a day is substantial. So I've wondered maybe you could use that time a bit more productively. So I asked, how can you combine video games and education? And I actually found a wide variety of cases where this had already been done. I found several cases where games have been made. One in Taiwan, in particular, was using to teach elementary school students how to classify plants, which was actually a part of their standard curriculum. And it goes beyond just ordinary school settings. I found it's a program for preventing sexual-related risk, like STDs and things like that. And they were using a video game to not teach the students, but to teach the teachers on how to teach the students. They developed a game in a virtual classroom in order to teach the teachers. I think they were calling them mentors specifically. So I even found instances of games that aren't intended for educational purpose, such as Minecraft, which is the largest PC game of all time so far. And they've actually developed lesson plans and special maps and modifications and all sorts of things to teach just about any possible subject. Even Valve Entertainment's Portal 2 has been developed for education. And furthermore, that's being done in this school right now. Miss Little, who teaches the digital media production class, she teaches her students how to make video games using the Game Maker software in order to teach so that they can learn computer skills as well as basic step following, like how to follow a set of instructions, which is actually more important than video. So for my internship, I worked with the startup company Krellware, who developed the game Weather Zen. Now, as a startup, Krellware needed money, so I worked a lot with. They were starting a Kickstarter campaign, which, if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, it's basically a system to donate money to projects, and you might get rewards in return. And I was basically tasked with being part of their public relations, and I worked on Reddit, which Reddit is a very different social media source from your standard Facebook and Twitter. It's anonymized. You have a username. Very rarely do you know the actual names of the users or who they are. And the way it works is you post a link on the website, and they will upvote or downvote it based on mostly whether or not they like it, but also if it's contributing to the area or not. And you get points called karma for some reason, where an upvote is worth 1 karma point mostly. So I made several posts working with Krellware, and I had actually, there's me researching. This was all online, so I don't exactly have a lot of pictures of me with my mentor. I actually only met him in person once, and the rest was done via email. So my first post I posted to the official Weather Zen subreddit, and I'll zoom in a little bit here. So we talked about our 2-for-1 deal where you get double the rewards, because I'd ended up joining towards the end of the Kickstarter campaign, so they needed and I got 1 point, which is the default point you get for creating a post. So nobody saw it at all. So then I decided to post to the official Kickstarter subreddit, which, much to my surprise, there had already been a post on it about Weather Zen, which it got 5, that's okay, but there's still no comments or any form of discussion about it. So then I thought, well, what's next? Weather Zen's an iPad game, but partially. So I posted to the iOS gaming forum, and I got 0 points. That means somebody downvoted me. and there's still no comments. In fact, the only time I got any form of points is when I posted to the free karma subreddit where people will upvote posts for no apparent reason in order to gain points. In which I got 3 comments, 1 fixing my comment, one of them was me apologizing about my messed up comment, and 1 just saying, "I love your comment." So my Reddit campaign didn't work out so well. We ended up raising $25,000 out of our $99,000 goal. So I still had quite a bit of time left to work with Krellware. So I ended up working on Dropbox, which is a cloud storage system. And they had a gigantic business model. They had, each employee basically had the same set of files for themselves, and it was taking up a lot of extra space. And Dale, who's my mentor, needed me to sort through it all. I spent an enormous amount of time staring at my computer, trying to sift through all of these files. And I sadly don't have any screenshots of it because they are company files, and I don't think I'm allowed to do such a thing. So I just spent a ton of time just sort of sifting through files, finding a lot of duplicates, which really says a lot about the potential inefficiencies of a company without proper organization. So for my community service and my legacy, I worked with something that a lot of government school students are very happily familiar with. I worked with NetBeans, which is a programming software I primarily programmed in Java, where I decided to apply my research I'd found in educational video games to make my own. And I'd actually gone through 1 major revision and 3 minor revisions after my game. The first one, my code I'd found wasn't exactly working. I was trying to use tutorials to help me out, but they weren't explaining how anything worked. So I could basically just make this game that they told me exactly how to make and not make my own type of thing. So I actually had to completely scrap my project about a quarter of the way through and do it all over again. And so then I ended up having to redo the animation system 3 times until finally I figured it all out, which was actually rather recently. So this is a picture of my code. It's, in the end, I ended up having about 1,425 lines of code. And this is my wonderful stockbroker man in my game. This is a history-themed game, which I plan to give to the history department of the school, actually. And I've already scheduled Ms. Carlton to talk with her, or to talk in front of her class, which I think they're in the audience right now. Hi, guys. I'm going to go and demonstrate my game to them and show them how to use it. So, so I have a video of my game, but for time, okay, that's fine. But for time's sake, I think I'm going to finish the rest of my presentation first because it's about a couple minutes long. For rising seniors, I would highly recommend not procrastinating, as everyone else has said. But also, this applies to just about everything, but coding in particular, the devil is in the details. I spent 2.5 hours ripping my hair out trying to figure out a problem in the code, rearranging lines to try and get them execute correctly, and it turns out I forgot a slash. A single slash that was making the entire thing not work. So, 46 hours in, 1,400 lines of code, and I made a level of my project, but I'm going to continue working on it. I already have 2 more levels, planned out, and I have everything done. And I actually discovered quite a bit of free resources. There's free game assets, which I used sparingly, that I was expecting to use a lot more, and making a sizable amount of the art for my game. The programs for making it were free. The NetBeans is free. Paint.net, which was well, as the name implies, the painting software. It's basically like Microsoft Paint, but more robust. So in the end, making a game was much more easy than I thought, and yeah, let's watch my game if the video works.
If it won't, I can switch it to a different.
Nope.
You never shared it.
I did. I posted it using my governor school account. I should have. Oh, this is right. So I didn't want it to be searchable. Let's just go straight.
There's a number of thoughts.
So my video is called The Adventures of Usher Osborne because I couldn't think of a name. So it says, hello, my name is Usher Osborne. He explains how he needs to stop World War II, but he can't kill Hitler because that would be graphic, and also there's timeline issues. And so he's got to approach this a bit more subtly. Is it playing? It is playing. Wow, I forgot how long I waited for that. So he's going to first attempt to prevent the Great Depression, which ultimately leads to World War II and Hitler's rise to power. And so it gave a very brief explanation on the keys, and I make a jab at how I just copy and pasted the same building over and over again in order to make it look like a neighborhood. And so now he slowly makes his way to the next area where the New York Stock Exchange is. Yeah. Look, there's the New York Stock Exchange. Starts making his way down, and he finds a newspaper from the future that says something about Black Tuesday, which is the stock market crash. He attempts to enter the stock market, and the security's not letting him through. So
It's just your inventory at the bottom.
yep, that's the inventory. And he has to go back because I purposely skipped getting the special magic universal identification card that lets you get into the stock exchange. So he's gonna walk. It's a walking simulator, really. Hey, it's his universal ID. And now he's going to go back to the stock exchange. I promise there's going to be more to the game later. There's going to be street lamps. He's back at the stock exchange. He accidentally glitched it through the building. He knocks on the door again. And he gets let in this time. Mr. Pippin Paddleopsicopoulos. The third. He's looking for a stock trader, and apparently they're all stock traders. He says, don't sell your stock because the market's going to crash. And they say, yeah, that's not going to happen. The economy's going great. He says, see, look at this newspaper. He says, you're right. Everyone sell your stock. The market's about to crash, which causes the market to crash. So this is the adventures of Usher Osborne and his attempts to prevent World War II and inadvertently causing World War II. Any questions, Mr. B?
So during your research, I think there's always there are pushes here and there where it's like, how do you make education more fun, and how do you make it more entertaining and make it more engaging? And at a certain level, it's kind of like, well, you don't have to; you just need to do your work. And did you find anything in your research that showed like how effective video game use could be? And then my second question is, how do you incentivize people to then make that? Because I feel like, I would imagine the market is not huge for it, and you don't want to end up with a situation where it's like licenses for software, where it's like, we've got this great educational game and it'll only cost you $400, and then your school could use it. I feel like, how do you like get a market for that?
Well,
that's helpful.
Well, a lot of it, I was thinking about this earlier. There's a lot of free educational games. They're all Flash-based games available in the web browsers, and you could build something around that. I actually remember in Miss Angotti's class, we used a bridge building thing just to sort of demonstrate math. And I actually found that they actually found that using technology in general does have a beneficial impact. There was a study where they basically just did math problems on computers. They did a traditional math class, and then they had a math-based game. And both the technology-based ones did better than the traditional, but the video games still did better than traditional technology-based systems. Did that answer your question?
I don't know if you looked at this in your research or not, but like authenticity of games, especially related to history. As far as, I remember as a child playing a game like Oregon Trail, like the first release, and how it was a huge reward to play Oregon Trail when you were in first grade. That was very basic than what it was now. Because I went to college, I took my history of the American West, we actually had to play Oregon Trail and then read diaries and compare and contrast the authenticity of the game. How, as a game creator, do you address the issue of authenticity?
Well, mine's doesn't exactly look the most authentic, but just a great amount of research was helpful. Like when I talked to Ms. Carlton about it, she gave me the lesson plans, and I picked World War II, and I looked at my old notes from her class, and I sort of built my game around facts that were a part of the class. And so you can go both ways. Like I've said, there's been instances where they took a game and built a lesson plan around it, or you can build a game around the lesson plan. Of course, the former would be much easier because making a lesson plan I'd expect to be much easier than creating an entire video game based around the lesson. But yeah, that answer